Hey folks, I just had a lesson with Madeline. I don't think I'll ever be the same again. One of those miraculous moments in time where I just feel like I must be the luckiest human that has ever lived. And that whole expression, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I mean, if that is not true, then nothing is true. That has been so clear as I've gotten into this relationship. And it's like if they made a movie about, maybe I'll make a movie about this. This is a film worth making. About music as a spiritual practice. That's actually a really inspiring idea. What I was going to say is, if they made a movie about this, they being me, you know, the way in which in a movie you're putting a story that takes place over God only knows how many months, years, weeks, depending on the film, but it's compressed time because everything happens within like 2 hours. And so the intensity of the relationships among ideas and the density with which ideas are presented and connections are made, within a single scene, a realization has to emerge that might have taken weeks or months or years in life to experience. That's the speed at which I feel like I'm receiving from Madeline. I feel like our whole lesson just now could have been a movie. It has that just packed. So and the essential content of it was, we started out talking about, I'm playing a couple of Chopin etudes. The first one, she gave me some input about relaxing, and it was like the advice that I know, so as I'm preparing, I catch myself a lot playing, practicing just a little outside my comfort zone. It's like I'm reaching. It's like aspirational practice. The practice is aiming for something. It's aiming for a result that is beyond where my comfort zone lies. And what that does is it draws me away from the very thing. It's a misunderstanding of the result that I'm actually trying to achieve. My mind or ego thinks that the result I'm trying to achieve is more speed or more accuracy or whatever, but the actual result that I'm on a deep level trying to achieve is receiving the music, feeling the vibration. When I hit an accented note, letting that note reverberate in my entire body. This is what, these are the things that I was being encouraged to practice today, to go for, to experience. And so it's not even just that, it's not strictly that the result takes longer because I'm traveling outside my comfort zone, but the result is actually not what I think it is. My desired outcome is not what I think it is. And so that departure from that place of ease and perfect comfort, which I which it's very easy to do when I'm practicing, is it's not just delaying the outcome, it's actually indefinitely delaying the outcome. I'll never get to the outcome that way. There's no there. At the end of that road lies just more of that road. There's no arrival at the thing that road is thinking that it's going to get to. Whereas reclaiming that comfort zone and being in that place of just total perception, that's both the path and the destination in one. So, that was the first piece. And then in the second piece, she gave me some reflection on, part of it was just purely on a technical level fascinating to understand what legato is and how legato works. And, this idea that on the piano, there's no such thing as a true legato on piano because we can't genuinely connect the notes on a piano, and we can't play all the notes the same volume. In a piano, we always have a series of decays. We have notes we have hammers hitting strings, and then those strings beginning to decay as they go. It's not like a string instrument where the note can grow, the note itself can crescendo and elide into the next note. We can create the illusion of that on piano, but it's an illusion that we have to create. We have to breathe with the flow of notes in such a way as to create the illusion that that's what's happening. We can't do the same thing that a string player can do or a wind player. And so just registering that, and that it's not just connecting the notes, but it's the relationship of the volume of the various notes, the volume curves of these notes that creates legato on the piano. Just a kind of a mind-opening new perception of what that practice is all about. But then the sort of like real pièce de résistance that she hit me with was she had me singing the notes. She had me singing Chopin Etude number 2, Chromatic Etude. It's a kind of like very very dense piece, very harmonically dense. There's a lot of kind of if you actually listen to the harmony, there are some pretty pronounced dissonances built into the harmony, and she's having me sing them, and I couldn't sing them. I couldn't sing a C sharp over a C natural. It was like my voice didn't want to do it. And what that means also is my ears don't want to do it. My ears are not actually hearing that. And so practicing just listening, just hearing. She said, if you just hear what's there, your fingers are going to know what to do. I'm resisting playing it because my perception, my auditory perception isn't going there. And that then turned into a whole other level of conversation about how we're not trained to think that way. We're not trained to listen that way. I've certainly never been instructed at this level of depth to listen in this way and to be so aware of what's happening and to trust that level of perception is actually the heart of the matter, that's not just some kind of distraction. She likened it to meditation. She said if meditation opens the perceptions because it allows the mind to relax. It allows the mind to relax enough to perceive. Every human being can perceive. Every single human being has the capacity to perceive, whether it's music or a piece of art or a piece of theater or something in nature, to perceive something and be struck to the core. But our educational priorities are often not that. We're often taught to prioritize other things, almost, I'd say, not exclusively, because of course there are other, there's some magnificent teachers out there and there's magnificent education out there, but in general, there's an emphasis on a whole different kind of learning, and it involves the mind moving very quickly through information. And so this perception just gets ironed out of us. This notion that that level of perception is the heart of everything. And then I was reflecting on, what that means as a parent. What am I teaching my daughter how am I teaching her to relate to the world? How am I teaching her to relate to her own mind? Am I modeling for her and also extending the opportunity through my presence for her to rest in her own perception and to know that that is the core of so much depth, so much life, that's where life is happening there. And can I teach her to live there, as opposed to teaching her next thing? Do you get it? Do you get it? What do you get? How much do you get? How much, There's a real, it's both deeply relaxing, and also there's a kind of pang, there's an emotional pang that I experience as I go there, because I've been driven by a form of energy and emotion that's sort of prodding me out of that. I notice in my practice, as I sit in practice, how quickly I abandon that core, that center, that just resting place of perception. Why? That's not my soul doing that. It's not my natural state to abandon comfort. It's a learned behavior to abandon my comfort zone. And the learning of that behavior must have compacted and impressed upon me the emotional structures that have those other priorities. So, oh my God, just receiving that lesson and it's granting myself permission to stay there, and also affirming for myself the sort of vitalness of remaining in that space, in that state. How there's no higher priority than that. Oh my God. I feel like I'm the luckiest human alive. I don't know how I could be any more lucky fortunate, abundant, than to feel these lessons pouring into my life right now. It's huge. Love you. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you so deeply. I'll see you soon.